think Jeep, this is what you think of. And you look at the top 10 things that allowed us to win World War II, and the Jeep is on that list, up there with the atomic bomb and everything else. Enigma code breaking machine. I heard the landing craft, the Higgins boat, was one of the things too, but I don't see that on here. But this is what you think of when you think of Jeep. Or more modern ones are, I don't know what that thing in the upper left is. Rock crawler, and that's a mall crawler. And there's a lot of mall crawlers out there. We were in Hawaii last February. These things are running all over the place, and there's hardly anywhere to go off-road in Hawaii. So why you'd do that, I don't know. That is kind of useless. I've wanted a Jeep since I was a little kid, but they're just stupid useless, right? They're for contractors, farmers, hunters. Well, not so much anymore. Just like back in the day, there were two kinds of bicycles. You had your 10-speed and you had your Huffy with the fat tires. There's now 50 different kinds of bicycles. And it's the same thing with Jeeps. You buy one and you can then make it do whatever you want. The aftermarket market for stuff is amazing. So I'm not any of those. Those don't interest me at all. But here on YouTube, it said, well, maybe you'd be interested in this. And I am. I watched one and I was just addicted. I got to get out and explore. I'm an explorer. That's what I want to do. So this is my Jeep. And my wife, my poor wife, she is practical, frugal, and risk averse. This is none of those things. But she found this online. I wanted a used one because it's going to get some use, and you don't want to get a new one. 2017 Wrangler, bought it last April. Unlimited means it has 4 doors. Rubicon means it comes from the factory with a bunch of good stuff. There's a trail in California called the Rubicon Trail. And supposedly this could come from the factory and drive the Rubicon Trail. So it has extra heavy-duty axles and differentials. It has a little bit of a lift in the suspension, better tires, some armor underneath, and some other things. Locking differentials. Explain that in a minute. But then you gotta add stuff. And this was the Hard Rock Edition, which means I'm not even sure. It comes with some more stuff, heavy-duty armor and such like that. And I still added some. So there it is. And then I got a bicycle too, just so you know that I'm not total wimp. But I call it the Easy Street Jeep because that's the name of my company, the Easy Street Productions. I do videography. So this is my Jeep. I have 2 quotes on the outside of the Jeep because I'm a word guy. Once you become fearless, life becomes limitless. This woman, Tracy Malone, said that. And I've kind of said the same things in my writings, but like over 3 paragraphs. She said it in 7 words. And it just changed everything for me. And so I want to just share that with the world. Because most of the time when it comes right down to it, what we're afraid of is we're going to feel bad. Relationships end, or you've run out of money, or you're sick or something. You're going to feel bad. Nobody wants to feel bad, but if you can live with that, you can do anything. Once you become fearless, life becomes limitless. I do a presentation at the jail for the guys who are within 90 days of getting out. And that, plus the fact that you have the power to choose what you want in life, are the 2 foundations of my presentation. The other is from Yvon Chouinard. He did the Patagonia company, and he said the adventure begins when something goes wrong. And I thought, that's the attitude you have to have when you're overland camping, and it's a good thing for life in general. This is, I actually had a t-shirt. There's a company that'll make a t-shirt for you. That's me and my dog Scout, who unfortunately crossed the Rainbow Bridge this past year. So that's on a t-shirt. The first rule of overlanding is no complaining, because you chose this. And the adventure begins when something goes wrong. What could go wrong? My wife says, stay home. What, think of all that could go wrong. What could go wrong? Well, let's go find out. We'll figure it out. We're going to have an adventure. Why is it called a Jeep? Well, it was created by the Willys Overland Company. Ford did most of the production in World War II. GP, general purpose, Jeep. That's actually not true. It's an acronym for just empty every pocket. And that's not so far from the truth, because there's just no end to the amount. If you've got too much money and you need to get rid of it, you should buy a Jeep. It just needs stuff, so you gotta do some upgrading. We'll talk about that. So my hometown up here, Bemidji, right there, my home was 2 blocks from when Highway 2 used to go through the city of Bemidji. It doesn't anymore. My dad told me that this US 2 is not a Minnesota highway. It doesn't end at Wisconsin and North Dakota. It keeps going. And it goes that way to Maine, and it goes that way to Washington, the Pacific and the Atlantic. And I was just a little kid when he told me this, but it just sparked something in me. It was like the Wizard of Oz, the yellow brick road. It's just, I got to go see what's down there, The fact that this pavement right here by my house extends all the way to the oceans, just, man, that just sparked me. So years ago, I got a job as a traveling salesman. I drove 20 hours a week, did that for 9 years, and made a decent living besides. I liked it, even though I was traveling North Dakota. I know. I have driven all of US 2, except from Sandpoint, Idaho to Everett, Washington, and I think we're going to do that this May. We're going to plan on taking Amtrak out to Seattle and rent a car. I just want to know, what's down that road? That's who I am. So overlanding is self-reliant adventure travel to remote destinations where the journey is the primary goal. I'm not big into camping, believe it or not, but I like the driving and the exploring and getting where nobody else is and getting out. I want to do this out west because it's rocky and mountainy, whereas in the east there's a lot more mud, and I'm not a big fan of mud, but what are you going to do? So that's what overlanding is, and you can do that now. These vehicles are remarkably civilized. Before I get to that, my Jeep, if I'm going to go overlanding, the first thing I do is drive 1,500 to 2,000 miles, and it takes 2-3 days to get where I want to be. Well, going in an old Jeep would be miserable. This thing cruises on the freeway at 75 and is just pretty darn comfortable. I have no problem with that. I did 812 miles one day last October, coming back from Arizona, and I was fine. It's a little noisy, but it's got a great stereo, and I just enjoy it. And that same vehicle can goat up some really steep, rocky stuff. It's really a feat of engineering. It is quite impressive. So last October, went to Arizona, and that's Flagstaff up there, and the Orange Trail is what is called the Sedona Backcountry Discovery Route. And so we took 5 days. I met a group of people in Sedona, and we went up this way and da-da-da-da-da. Jerome, if you've ever been around Sedona, you got to go visit Jerome. And we took some side trips, and you'll see some pictures from here. What a great time. I just enjoyed it so much. This is northwest of Sedona. I was with a group of, it ended up being 5 people. You don't really want to go alone. I'm not a mechanic. So, yeah, it would be nice to have a mechanic with you. A doctor would be good, and a geologist to explain all this would be great. This is me coming down. That's some pretty steep stuff.
How many vehicles are you?
It started out being 6, but one guy got called home too. There were 3 of them from California, 1 from St. George, Utah, and me. So for most of them, it's a day's drive. For me, it was 3. But what are you going to do? I like it here. And 3 of the 5 were Toyotas. And Toyota makes just a very fine, capable off-road vehicle. So, Jeep speak, terms and definitions. A rig is your rig. And this is mine. I've got a rooftop tent, which is that thing. I'll talk about that in a minute. I've got a 270-degree awning. I don't have any real good pictures of that, but it connects on the side and swings around like a wing. And I'll talk about these in just a minute. Lockers, locking differentials. You've got maybe a limited slip differential if you've got a truck, but mostly your rear or front wheels will spin independently of each other, and which is nice for going around corners. It sucks if you get stuck because your power is going to go to the wheel that doesn't have any traction. I can lock that. I can lock the front, I can lock the rear, I can lock the center. And then I can put it in 4-wheel drive low. And that thing is almost unstoppable. Just all the wheels locked up, high revs in the engine, and the thing creeps along. It's great. So lockers, sway bar disconnect. The front, you've got a solid axle in front, which is not modern technology. But your car has a sway bar too that keeps it from doing this when you go around corners. Wants to keep you flat. It's not so good off-road. You want to disconnect that. So I can just push a button, and that makes the ride just a lot more comfortable. And it's just a button. Skid plates, I've got lots of those, but after I got back from Arizona, they worked. They worked. And it's an awful sound when you hear the skid plates doing their job, but they do their job. It's just fine. But I did add 2 inches. I put new suspension, new springs and shocks in there. I raised it 2 inches when I got back, so it'll be better next time. Rock sliders, I'll show you that in just a minute. Well, there they are right now. This is what's called a rock slider. It looks like what you might call a running board, but it's not. These are serious, heavy-duty, like a roll cage for the body. Because you go over a rock with the front, it drops down, it might hit that, and you'll damage the body. But with these things, it'll slide right over. It's not a pleasant sound. The other thing these do is collect mud. So when you get out of the Jeep, you get mud on the back of your pants. They're very good at that, which is, yeah, okay. So you have a spotter, somebody who helps you over obstacles, and we'll show you that in a minute. But instead of turn left, turn right, because you're facing each other, we use passenger driver, because that never changes. So this is Lynn. She's from St. George, Utah. And we had 2 guys named Will, and this is one of the Wills, and he's telling her where to go. One thing you don't want to do is have 1 wheel here and 1 wheel here, because the middle of your Jeep's going to hit. So you want to run a tire over this, and you could go either right or left. So I don't know if he told her to go passenger or driver, but you want one of your front wheels and back wheels to go over that big old rock there. And this is me coming down that same place. Lift. Yeah, I added just 2 inches to my Jeep. It makes a huge difference. It is very fun for your 72-year-old wife to get in and out. Just adds a little drama to your life. So let's talk about approach, departure, and breakover angle. Here's what you need to know. I guess it makes sense. Breakover angle. Now I've added 2 inches. That changes that geometry quite a bit. Traction boards. That's, if you've lived in Minnesota for any length of time, you've been stuck and you want to get a branch or a board or something to stick under those wheels. Well, they're made of plastic now. And this is what they look like. But if you get stuck, you got a shovel, but this is the next thing you go to. and they really work. You use this most of the time. I've got a winch. I'll talk about that in a second, but traction boards. Rooftop tent, and Jeepers will call it an RTT. If you got an RTT, what kind you got? It's the way to go. The 270 awning swings all the way around the back, and I'm sorry I don't have good pictures of that. And dispersed camping. We're not looking for campgrounds. You can camp anywhere in the national forest or BLM land, and somebody will make a fire ring with some rocks, but you don't need permission, doesn't cost anything. You just find a spot you like and camp. We carry everything with us, so you need nothing. Well, my wife bought me a sticker that's on the back of my Jeep. Fortunately, it's small. It says, "I like to poop in the woods." So this is my tent. On my first night out to Arizona, I stopped at some little town in Nebraska at their municipal. So there's my tent, and that's one of the inside pictures. It's great. I just love it. Opens up. I can see actually, it was nearly full moon that next night. This is outside of Sedona, and kept me awake. Got a ladder that gets you up there. It's really the way to go. It's so quick to deploy it and tear down, and it's got your fiberglass or whatever that thing's made out of roof, so it repels rain and everything. It's great. Airing up and airing down. You want to let air out of the tires when you're off-road, and these tires are made to be aired down. Kind of rule of thumb is I've got 17-inch wheels, air down to about 17 PSI. Other than that, they're, 37, I think is what Jeep wants on the highway. The gas can has nothing to do with this slide. It just happened to be there. So I've got a compressor, and it's got a manifold, and I can air up or air down all 4 tires at once. Saves a lot of time. Connects right to the battery, and I've got it so it plugs in. But I don't know if you can see this, but if you can drop the sidewall of your tire by 25%, you increase your footprint by about 200%. And it's a much smoother ride. And so there's a lot of this airing up and airing down, and you want a good system that's fairly fast. And I've got that. Now I carry an extra 5 gallons with me. I've got a 20-gallon tank, and I get 15 to 16 miles per gallon. Range anxiety is a thing. Fortunately, I've won, Powerball 4 times now, so I can afford this. I loaned Bill Gates money back in '85 too, so that helps. I've been carrying 5 gallons. I'm going to buy a new tank that goes on the back of the tailgate between that and the spare tire, 12 gallons. And you siphon out of there to refill, because western Kansas was actually an issue. There's towns in western Kansas, but there's no people left. There's no people, so there's no stores. Who knew? It's turning into a frontier again. I had to go out of my way to go to a town in Texas where I knew there was gas, and I had a gallon left, but that's stress I don't need. And I didn't have my 5 gallons filled at that point, because who needs extra gas in Kansas, right? Anyway, so I did carry it off-road and didn't need it, so it's okay. But I'm going to have 12 gallons now when I head out on my next adventure, 1st of April. Tires. I have all-terrain tires. What was on there when I bought it was mud terrain tires. They look really similar unless you know tires. Mud terrain just has bigger gaps between the lugs on there, and they make a lot of noise, and they're okay. And if you're going to be in eastern U.S., you want definitely mud terrain tires. A lot of people just like mud terrains. So they were in good shape, but I put all-terrain tires on there. And they are so much quieter and smoother and civilized, and they work just great. It's amazing what a difference that makes. So what's the deal? Well, look at that sidewall. That tread goes way over the side of the tires, because when you air down, then that actually has contact with the earth. The other thing is you're going up against rocks and things. You want something really robust for a sidewall so it doesn't get cut and damaged. I do carry a tire repair kit in case I need that, but these are very special tires. Not terribly expensive either. I was surprised. They're no more expensive than other tires I bought. And Goodyear offers a road hazard warranty that covers off-road hazard too. They're not going to come out and fix it, but if I got a tire goes bad, they'll replace it, prorated. So, okay, I'll go with that. Recovery gear. I've got a winch on the front of this. You can't really see it. It's built in the bumper. The steel bumpers are part of the package I've got. They come, most Jeeps come with plastic bumpers. So the winch is built in there. It has a 10,000-pound capacity. I brought my empty Jeep out to the landfill. I had it weighed a couple weeks ago, 5,060 pounds, with a half tank of gas and me in it, but no camping gear. So you want the winch to be double the weight of your vehicle, because it's going to have to pull pretty hard. Synthetic rope is a thing. It's not metal cable anymore. I'm told metal cable, if it snaps, is going to spring, whereas synthetic rope is more likely to just drop. I hope I never find out, but synthetic rope is kind of the way to go. Recovery gear. You just got to be smart. So one of the things you do is you carry this thing, which you drape over the winch line to, if you don't have that, you get a coat or something, which will much more likely cause it to just drop. We have gloves are important. A tree saver. Wrap this around the tree rather than putting the cable around it. We like to minimal footprint and, be nice. Leave it better than you found it, and leave nothing but tracks. These are called D-ring shackles, a soft shackle. Snatch block, essentially a pulley. And I've got a tow rope. Other people carry more stuff with them, but this is kind of basic. Communication. Now, that is a mouse. I just put that there for size purposes. Midland GMRS, General Mobile Radio Service, has kind of replaced CB. These things will go a few miles, and if you're in a group, we're using them all day, just chatting and, who's in the back? Or, you want to make sure they didn't miss the turn and that kind of thing. This is a Garmin InReach Mini 2. I pay $11 a month for a subscription, and that thing was about $400. But it'll do two things. It'll send messages via satellite to Marcia at home, and I can do 3 a day, I think, for free. And I've got a pre-programmed one for the end of the day. Making camp not dead yet is what it says. And that goes to Marcia and my son both. And the idea is that I check in every day. If I have a problem, there's an SOS button. You've got to open a thing and press it for 30 seconds. That connects to Garmin, who then connects to local search and rescue. And then you can text with them through your phone, through that, saying, I broke my leg, or I've shot myself, or I'm lost, or whatever the situation is, then they can respond appropriately. That is a pretty good deal. Well worth $11 a month. So communication, and this will also track you too. If you're a hiker, everybody carries one of these, and it's got a little map in it with breadcrumbs, so you don't get lost. Love it. Okay, navigation. There's a program I use. This is called Onyx Off-Road, and there are thousands, tens of thousands of miles of forest roads, mining roads, farm roads, roads. Especially out west, this is just nothing compared to what's available. Here's St. George, Utah. Here's Aspen. Here's Durango, Colorado. So there's some of the roads. And this is Flagstaff. And look at all those roads. You can spend the rest of your life on those roads. I carry power with me. This is Blue Eddy. They make all kinds of, it's basically a battery that charges during the day when I drive, and then I can use it at night. I carry a toaster and a coffee maker, electric coffee maker. I'm going to carry an induction hot plate instead of a gas stove. I've got the gas stove now. An electric blanket. It runs my CPAP machine. It's, charges everything. It's great. Now, those are solar panels that I can use or not. It changes everything. People say, well, you're cheating. What, you want me to get a donkey or what? This is my refrigerator. It runs off the Blue Eddy. It's great. It's not a freezer, but it is a refrigerator, so I can have fresh food. Here's my camp setup. Breakfast. This was a setup in South Dakota. I do have a privacy tent. I was using a ground tent. These are great. Gazelle sets up, boom, just like that. But I went with the rooftop. You can see my 270 on there too. Ducks are a thing. Some guy in Canada decided during COVID we need more fun. So he started this and it became a thing. Don't give me any ducks. I've got enough. But they're fun. Just some pictures from Sedona. This is from Charles, who was with us. He's a serious photographer, knows how to Photoshop. Here's our group. This is Charles on the left. The two Wills and Lynn. This is what you can see. And then I swore I'd never stop in Winslow, Arizona, but I did. So this is me standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. This is a view from a campsite called Edge of the World. I mean, look at that. And you need a horse or a Jeep or walk to get there. And this is my view with morning coffee. Can't beat that, huh? Nice. Yeah. So, thanks, kids. All right.